And welcome into episode 12 of For What It's Worth. We're going to be talking some NBA takeaways. And boy, Tyrone, I am excited. I am so excited for this episode because we got to talk about Mavs Clippers. I said, playoff Harden, choke off Harden, as I like to call him, was going to show up game 5. And guess what? He showed up game 5. Mavs take it in 6 games. We'll get to that here in a second, but boy, that was the cherry on top of my weekend. I was also at the casino. Hey, I won $75 on a slot machine. I can't complain. It was a great, great weekend for me. Tyrone, how about you? How was your weekend? What was the most exciting thing that you experienced this weekend?
Honestly, this weekend it was one of the more chiller weekends. I didn't really do anything. I coached two to three
Okay.
basketball games or in Kansas City this weekend, so I coached, chilled. I was really just taking in greatness. Drake and Kendrick Lamar going right back at it. I'm remember this. We'll all remember this for 30 years, 40 years, 50 years down the line. So I was taking that in, just listening to that on repeat. I know I'm about to pull up to
Oh,
school
yeah.
tomorrow, listening straight to that Drake disc crazily, like
Great
every day.
music. It's
Great.
it's it's great music being made right now. This is what the rap game needed. I don't even think, I was so excited to start this episode. I don't even think, I mentioned I'm Calvin, the host. We got Tyrone here. A great, I don't even think we got into our names yet. Calvin Silvers, Tyrone Thornton. Usually we have, Eric and Brian with us, but they haven't been with us the past couple episodes. Eric just actually got his wisdom teeth out. Everything seemed to go well there. So, we hope he gets better. Brian is trying to figure out his whole situation with webcam and whatnot. So hopefully we get him back with us in the studio at some point as well. So, yes, you're tuning into For What It's Worth, episode 12. Like I said, we're going to talk NBA, Calvin Silvers, Tyrone Thornton. Let's get to it. Let's start in the East, and let's just talk some takeaways that we had with each first round matchup. And we'll start with the Celtics versus the Heat. Celtics win that series 4-1. And besides game 2, where Miami shot 53.5% from 3-point land, the Celtics defense was just way too much for them. I mean, no Jimmy Butler, no Terry Rozier, no Josh Richardson, et cetera, et cetera. The Heat weren't going to win this series. They weren't prepared. They weren't prepared enough depth wise, or just even without Jimmy Butler, they weren't going to get that far. So this was pretty much expected, at least in my book.
Oh, 1000%. The biggest takeaway of this series is really Porzingis getting hurt, and
That is.
I, I honestly think that this is probably the last time. Maybe next year, maybe it's probably this is the last time, or next year definitely is the last time we see this iteration of this Heat team. And I'll probably say you guys should probably get used to seeing Jimmy Butler not on this team, especially what Pat Riley said about him today. He told Jimmy Butler to shut up, man. Just stop talking. He said if I was in the game, we would have won. Jimmy Butler, shut up, man. You didn't even play, so
Yep.
don't say that.
Yep. I was going to say, can't be saying that unless if you're there, because at that point, yeah, it's all talk. And sure, with Jimmy Butler, the Heat have made some
And two
nice runs,
finals
some
appearances,
magical
yeah, but
runs, you could say. But
that
yeah, if you're not playing, man, why are you talking?
just be
It's
quiet, Jimmy.
4-1. And like I said, the Celtics defense too much. They held the Heat to under 100 points in 4 of those 5 games. So 4 of the 5 meetings. So pretty stellar defense there. As you mentioned, Porzingis getting hurt. I think that is one of the biggest takeaways from this series as well. And we'll get into round 2 and what we kind of expect in those series. But I will say, in a lucky way, because it's not lucky that Porzingis gets hurt, but in a lucky way, I don't think that affects you in the next round. I think you can
No,
handle
yeah.
the Cavaliers without Porzingis. Now, when we start getting further, yeah, Porzingis missing becomes a huge factor. But I think just looking ahead, I think the Celtics are fine in the next round against the Cavaliers without Porzingis.
1000%. The Celtics should be able to handle the Cavaliers easily. The Cavaliers' offense is outside of Donovan Mitchell. It's bad. Game 6, Donovan Mitchell scored every single point for them in the fourth quarter. I think Donovan Mitchell scored 92 points or something like that, 80, some ridiculous stat. He's had is like over 50% of their points in the fourth quarter in the second half. So the Cavs offense, I mean, it's like the Celtics, they can obviously hold teams to under 100 points, but the Cavs offense, I don't think they could produce it on their own, really. Like,
Yeah.
I really don't think that. Like, their second best, you know, ball handler or shot creators, Darius Garland or Karis LeVert. I'm cool off that.
Yep. And I'm glad that was a good segue into there. Let's jump into that Cavs series. Cavs Magic. Cavs won 4-3, so it was a 7-game series. And while talented, the Magic's youth did showcase itself there in the second half of Game 7. They lost what was at one point an 18-point lead. Um, and these two teams were evenly matched. And here's what I'm also basing that off of, not just, just watching it and of course it going to a Game 7. That's not what I'm necessarily referring to as evenly matched. It's the home teams won. When the team was at home, they won. They were riding off the home energy. When you have two evenly matched teams, home court advantage becomes that thing that just gets you over that hump, that little extra juice to you that just gets you that victory. And of course, there's other factors, but that's ultimately the one thing that you have over the other. We saw that in the series. The home team always won. So while evenly matched, the Cavs were just lucky they, Game 7 was played there. Otherwise, I think the Magic could have took the series.
You're 100% right, Calvin. And even though the Cavs win this series, I still think that this is at least a nasty taste in their mouth because, unless they pull off the miracle, they're going to lose to the Celtics. And when you look back at it and you really think when the Cavs originally traded for Donovan Mitchell, they gave up a lot of assets, multiple players, multiple picks. Is this what you want the so different team to be when you trade for a player like that to get to the second round and you're obviously outmatched and just get probably losing five at the best if you play your hearts away. So I think win or lose, out of the first round, the Cavs have some decisions to make in the offseason, whether it be, Donovan Mitchell, Darius Garland, Allen, or Mobley. Something about that has to change.
Yep, and I agree with you. Let's if that Celtics series goes to a Game 6 or 7, if it ends up being a sweep or a 4-1, yeah, there's some questions that need to be asked around because, as I mentioned, the youth of the Magic was something I was worried about. And their average age is like 24.6, 24.8. It's one of the lowest in the leagues. They're just young. And the fact that the Cavs couldn't, and they're an older team. The Cavs are an older team. Even average age, if you're just going by average age as well. And you have to go to Game 7 with them. And let's not take it away from the.
It's not.
Yeah, not a
Yeah.
good look. And let's not take it away from the Magic. We're seeing a star born right in front of our eyes, Paulo Banchero. Oh, man, he can ball.
He's good.
He's good. He's good.
I said this in the group chat. He's one of the more underrated players in the NBA. We're
No, I
rookie of
agree.
the year, All Star
I
this
agree.
year. Took his teams to the playoffs. He's taken every single step that you want, like a guy that you draft first to do. Rookie of the year,
Yep.
All Star, playoffs. And I would say officially now that the Magic should be in the Trey Young sweepstakes. They need a real PG on that team. I know Wagner didn't play that well. He was 1 for 15, I think, but him and Paulo are two great pieces. I don't think that
Yep.
Cole Anthony, Suggs, or Marker Fultz, they're not bad players, but I think to really take this team to the next level, maybe adding a Trey Young or another player that has a little bit more proven talent on that skill be
I agree.
that would take them not to a contending level, but to that next notch of team to where like they could
Yep.
actually win a series or two in the playoffs.
Especially, yeah, it doesn't even need to be like you mentioned. It doesn't need to be like a 12-year veteran that you're bringing in. Now that would be nice, but it doesn't need to be that. It could be someone like a Trey Young that has a handful of years under their belt. So I agree there, and so I think Orlando's in decent hands. I think they have the
Yeah, for
opportunity to
sure.
do something with the core, like you said. Wagner, he's 22, so that's you're working through that. That's a piece. That's a project that you're working on, and so that brings up once again their youth. All right, let's go to I called this one. I wouldn't say it was like some shocker, like, oh, only Calvin was the only one who picked this ever. Like no one else saw this coming. But Pacers Bucks. Pacers win 4-2. And yeah, no Giannis. I didn't see it happening. I mean, Giannis averaged 42.2 and 13 versus the Pacers this year. So he was dominant.
A series where Dame and Giannis both miss multiple games, the series is over. If your best two players both miss multiple games, like it doesn't matter what team you're on, that you're gonna lose the series. And the Bucks really should have anything to worry about. Run it back next year. Then next year, if there's problems, then you'll assess it. good for the Pacers, though. I mean, you can't really blame them. You play who's in front of you. They made it to the second round, and it's really looking like their trade for Siakam is paying off just for the
Yeah,
fact that you made, got past the first round, made the second round, and you know the Knicks are up in this series 1-0, but like they're in a fight. They're in a fight for this series, and they could very well see themselves in a position where they're in the Eastern Conference Finals.
yeah. And we could talk about that game here in a second too. I should mention as we're recording this, the Knicks game just finished up game one there against the Pacers, and the Timberwolves are playing currently as we record. So we'll get to that Knicks Pacer game here in a second. But before we move on, I do want to mention that the Pacers bench players, whether it was game one or whether we're talking the first round, they're going to be important no matter how far they go, and they showcased that they were important in that first round. TJ McConnell, Obi Toppin, two guys that you need to step up and play well in the playoffs, and for the most part they are. And that whole bench for the most part has stepped up when they needed to. And so that's what's kind of concerning to me about this Pacers team is sometimes the stars aren't doing what the stars need to be doing, or
Oh,
starters
1,000%.
aren't
Halliburton
doing
had
what they need
five.
to be
He
doing.
had 5 points in this game. 5 points. You were supposed to. I remember we were talking about the playoff tournament. People was talking about Halliburton, the top five PG in the game. I remember
Yep.
that vividly. I mean, I'm not saying no hate Halliburton, but you got to step up if you want to consider yourself in one of those conversations.
Before we move to the West, we got one more game in the East to talk about. Knicks and 76ers. As you could probably figure out, the Knicks did advance. They won 4-2 in that series. I just want to take a moment to say the ability for Joel Embiid to play through what he was going through and to average 33 points, 10 rebounds, and 5 assists. Unbelievable. This guy is unbelievable. I
Oh,
might have
like
been hating on him before with some of his MVPs and like, oh well, look how he performed later on. But what he's doing right now, or what he was doing, is unbelievable.
yeah, he had a 50-point game in a playoff series where I mean he's obviously hobbled. He did all he could do. I mean, there could be one complaint about Joel Embiid is that he kind of faded in the fourth quarter of some of these games. But I
But
mean, like
Tyrone, he was.
he's
I'm
yeah, I know
surprised he
he's
was. I was
playing.
surprised he
Yeah,
was
he shouldn't even be
alive.
playing.
I was surprised he was
And
alive in the fourth quarter.
I would say one thing to Joel Embiid that I would say, Joel Embiid, I don't know if you will ever come across this podcast, but please do not participate in the Olympics this summer. Do not participate in the Olympics. You heal your
No,
body up. The USA, trust me, we will be fine this summer. You take that whole summer off and just rehab those knees and get off those knees because like it will like because this is like he's not a younger guy anymore. This is where we don't want him to end up like a Leonard. That is what I'm seeing from him.
no one's gonna call you soft. Quickly about this series, I want to talk about. There were some stars in this series. Not only Joel Embiid, Tyrese Maxey, he's a star. Uh,
100%.
Jalen Brunson. I mean, we saw
Superstar.
superstar. I mean,
Superstar.
he did some not to this level, but he was showcasing or foreshadowing his talents when he was back in Dallas, and now when he's the option, the main man, no Luca by his side,
He's getting to it.
he's getting to it.
First
He's
player
getting
to
to it.
have he's one of five players to have four 40-point playoff games back to back to back to back to back. That's
Yep.
literally Michael Jordan has four as well. So him and Michael Jordan, he's doing stuff that Michael Jordan literally did. Four
Yep.
40-point playoff games in a row. That's not normal stuff. Like I put a poll on my Instagram and I said, is Jalen Brunson the best point guard in the NBA? And it was 75% no. And I think I'm really leaning towards he's the best point guard in the game. For like he's literally showing up in the biggest moments. And people
Yep.
are forgetting that his second best player, Julius Randle, is out. He's been out. He hasn't been
Yep.
an option. He's literally doing it on his own. I'm not gonna say on his
Uh,
own. DiVincenzo and Hart are chipping in, they're doing their jobs. But when it
They
comes
are.
to the scoring of the basketball, like this, hey, we need a bucket. He
I
has
mean,
it.
yeah,
Like
when you're
his
putting
line
up
today was
40, 40, 40.
36 point. FanDuel said, all right, how many points will Jalen Brunson get? Probably 36 and a half points. Probably. And he got 40. He got over 36 and a half points. That is
Yep.
crazy.
Yep. Yeah, I think people do. I think it has, and that's what's crazy. I think people kind of have forgotten per se about Julius Randle in the sense because they don't need him. They're winning without
They're
him. And
really
yeah,
go.
they were going against an injured 76ers team. We get that. But that doesn't matter. Jalen Brunson is scoring, like you mentioned, 40, 40, 40. Brunson averaging 30 points a play, or averaging around 30 points in the playoffs since he became a Knick. So in 18 games in the playoffs as a Knick, he averages
What more?
around 30 points. Yeah,
What
what
more
more
can
can
you
you want?
ask for him? Like literally,
No,
what more can you ask for him? Like if
I
I
agree.
was Jalen Brunson, like sometimes I like to think maybe what if I was this athlete? If I was
Yep.
Jalen Brunson, really for real, I would really be feeling like I'm the best player in the world.
Oh,
In the
he's one of
I
them.
just said 40 points, 4 games in a row.
Yeah.
Who else did that? Michael Jordan. Oh yeah, I'm unstoppable.
Yeah.
So I need some respect on Jalen Brunson's name, and I don't think the respect will really, really, really be on his name until the Knicks, if the Knicks get past the Pacers and it's a Knicks and Boston matchup, all Northeast guys in the Garden gets the Celtics. That if he does something there, I think that would be his undeniable. We have
Oh yeah.
something extremely special moment. I really want him to get it really bad.
Yeah, I do too. I like Brunson a lot. So it'll be interesting to see what he does the rest of the way with the Pacers. All right, let's go to the West. There's not much to say about this one. Thunder and the Pelicans. Thunder win. They swept them 4-0. If you're a Thunder fan, it's just nice to see that you took care of business. You're the
Yeah,
one seed.
they could have folded easily.
Yeah, they could have they could have dropped a game. I mean, the Celtics did it, and like I said, I get it. Miami, shot 53% from 3-point land, so they were just on fire that game. But that could have happened. Thunder shut it down. Now they did almost lose game one at home, but that was nerves. They were just nervous. They
Yeah, that was our first
they
playoff
were
game
getting over
for
it. Yeah,
almost everybody on that team. Basically, probably everybody actually.
yeah. So they were just nervous, and then they took care of business.
Yeah.
So as a fan, I just think all right. We did what we needed to do.
1,000%. They 100% got by. This is probably the most least note. Besides, I don't. This is probably not one that not a series where I was looked at all. I knew the Thunder would get it done. Really,
Yeah.
maybe like you said, they would lose a game or something. But the Pelicans without Zion, that is a D team, D plus
Yep.
team, C
It
minus
was a
team.
team that had to play in the play-in, and yeah, barely got in.
And
So
if I was the Pelicans, my question would be: how many more times will Zion be hurt for the entire season before we move off of him? He might have one more time. Zion gets
yeah,
hurt one more time for a long period of time. I don't
he
really
doesn't.
think I want him on my team.
He doesn't. I don't even think he wants to be
I would
there.
rather
Truly,
not have him. What'd you say?
I don't think he truly wants to be there.
I wouldn't want. It doesn't seem like it. He's. Some people probably just do not want to live in New Orleans, and Zion just seems to be one of those guys.
And it's not like, yeah, that's not a superhuman team or anything, or a team that's going to win an NBA Finals right now. But it's not like they're not trying to give
He's
you
not. He
something,
doesn't. Yeah,
Zion.
they have
They're
attempted to put
trying.
pieces around you. CJ
Yes,
McCollum
come on,
and
man,
Bi.
give him a shot.
That's a pretty solid. Yeah,
And
they're all right.
CJ's still playing good. He's at
Yeah,
what? I think he averaged 17 that series,
yeah.
something like
Zion is
that.
just. I don't. I think from the very beginning of since he got there, he's like, I don't. This place is stupid, and I'm trying to
Yeah,
leave this place.
it just kind of seems like he's giving off those vibes. And I'm not saying that his injuries aren't real, not saying they aren't serious. I just think it seems like he's in no rush to get better or
He
no
don't
rush to
care.
get back on the, yeah, it just seems like that.
Like he's one of those players. Like it's very true. Like not everybody is. I'm like actually no. Well, I will say it. You know, everybody doesn't want to be great for real. Like everybody's really does not want to be great. Like for real. Like
Ben
you could be
Simmons.
really, really good and just not like like not want to be great. I seen a stat
Yep.
today, and Ben Simmons. I seen his fit today at the Met Gala. He had it on. He
Yeah.
had that stuff on, but he
Yeah, I'm
spent
not gonna
more
lie, he did.
minutes at the Met Gala than he has on the court in the past year.
Yeah, he's not serious about basketball, dude.
Like yeah, and I'm like, I get it. I respect. I to some degree I respect it because I'm like, I guess at some degree it is just your job, and you're not entitled to be great. You have to want to be great. Nobody is ever been
But he's
great
not even
on like
showed up. He's
accident.
not even showing up and playing the game. Man. He's not even doing his job.
Ben
Tyrone,
Simmons is
come
getting
on,
hey
don't try to. Hey man,
that's the
don't
best
try to.
career.
Don't.
No, that's the best
Don't.
career angle for real. If I'm not gonna be great, that's my second career angle.
Well, yeah,
This
if
is
you're not gonna be great,
if
but
I
come
had
on,
to
he's not
rank
even
the career,
trying to be
if I had
great.
to rank the career ways I could go, obviously best player on a championship team or second best, We win championships. Hooray.
Yeah, Hall of Famer.
I would rather be the player that gets a max contract, $150 million, and I can just chill,
Yeah.
opposed to being that bench player who just gets traded. I'd rather be Ben Simmons than Patrick Beverly 1,000% every single day. Every day. Every day. Oh my goodness. I don't have to
I don't
get
know.
traded a
That's
lot. I get free
yeah, that's
money.
not.
I can do what I want to.
Yeah, but
I
you're
have
gonna
no
go play
expectations.
with different people and different legends. I don't know.
No, I'm
I
good.
see
I'm
the plus
cool.
of both sides.
But you're forgetting
Before,
you're that is a over $100 million difference though.
yeah, that's true. That's true. You're not wrong there. But at some point, at least Pat Bev could sustain that kind of income longer than Ben. Like after this, who's going to pay for Ben? Who's going to want Ben Simmons now? It's done.
Nobody,
His
nobody
run's
has
done.
to. He's good. He should
Well,
start a
I
yoga
know, but
company
at
with
least
him.
Pat Bev was keeping the income
Yeah.
coming. But whatever. We'll move on. But last thing, SGA averaged 27 in this points in the series. That's just showing that he's the leader you need him to be. It's good to see that. It's good to see him performing at a high level. Here we go. I mentioned it at the beginning of the episode. We're finally here. Another series I called correctly, and once again, I was right about James Harden. I mentioned it in the beginning of the episode. And Game 5, he was going to choke. That's when we were going to see his true colors, Tyrone. I said that. I was on record of saying that. And then in Game 5, 7 points. 7 of 2 of 12 shooting. Now, Game 6, it was a little better. 16, but 5 of 16. 5 of 16 shooting. His plus minus wasn't good. Kyrie and Luka, they're dynamic. Oh man, they're dynamic. Kyrie closeout monster. He's 13-0 in closeout games. 13-0.
He's one of them ones. Kyrie is just
That's what I'm
it's
saying.
Kyrie
He's one
Irving.
of the and he's hooking up with Luka now, who is, as I've said on record, top 5 player in the league. And then you were mentioning, we were just having fun and talking about Ben Simmons. Here's a guy. Is Kawhi ever going to play? I know he played in a game in this series, but is he ever going to commit to? Ever since Toronto, are we going to see him play in important
he's
games?
probably done. His
What's
body
going
probably
on?
physically his knees probably can't really handle it. Like actually, his body is probably
It's
just
a waste of
done.
money.
I mean, yeah, they did. This Clippers did recently re-sign Kawhi Leonard to a 3-year contract, tons of money. And the thing about the Clippers is, I'll talk about the state of their team before the actual series. The
Mm-hmm.
Clippers, they don't own any of their draft picks until 2030 or 2031, so at least 6 years from now. Secondly, their owner is building a new stadium. It's supposed to be the newest, most renovated stadium. So new stadium, no picks. The Clippers have no incentive to bottom out. So I see why they're like, all right, let's just grab Kawhi for another 3 years. James Harden is a free agent, and Paul George is a free agent. I would guess they're probably bringing back Paul George, who's an LA guy. Maybe bring back James Harden too, and they're probably going to run it back with these same guys, and we'll see these same problems. But as long as
Same
he's putting
problems.
butts in those seats for the next 2 or 3 years, and to sell off their stadium, they'll be fine. That is my general outlook on the Clippers, which I don't knock the hustle coming from somebody that's probably building a $2 billion arena. Nobody wants to see the 15 the Clippers go 15 get 20 wins of the season. Nah, he's going for this exact season, probably the next 3 years.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting if they try to keep this core 3 to work, as in Harden, Paul George, and
It's their only option. They're untradeable. You have no at this age, who is trading for Kawhi Leonard coming off a knee injury? I would
But
be
that's what.
very hesitant. Paul
And
George,
this is where,
James
as
Harden,
an NBA GM, it's you've had to see this coming. How many seasons after? I mean, we saw it was the same with Russell in LA. LeBron wanted him in. They had him. They had to make changes to bring in Westbrook to them, and it didn't work out. It's never worked out for him. It's never worked out for James Harden.
That's not true. This isn't a James Harden thing. This is a Kawhi.
Tyrone. It is true.
The thing wrong with the Clippers is not James Harden. It is literally the fact
it is
that
James
Kawhi,
Harden.
no,
He
it's
shot.
not.
He had 7
No,
points.
It's not.
He was
It's
scoring.
not
He was scoring high double digits, Tyrone, the first few games.
So
if he can play like that
player was
through
hurt.
a whole series,
All right. Calvin, if the Mavericks' best player was hurt, the Mavericks would lose. The Clippers' best player, undisputably, without a doubt, 100% is Kawhi Leonard. Without a full, healthy Kawhi Leonard, they were not going to beat the Mavericks. That is just a fact. James Harden and Paul George just happened to have their best games in the first two games of the series, which probably gave everybody this false reality that they could probably sustain that for the entire playoffs, but they can't. James Harden is 34 years old, and I understand he's had terrible playoffs games like this beforehand. But honestly, where James Harden is at right now, I will take two great playoff performances from you. Then the rest I would probably have to shove off to Kawhi or PG, but it turns out PG played bad too. So this is not a Kawhi problem. This team is constructed only and poorly problem.
And that's fine. And I can agree with you to an extent on that because that's fine. If that's how you view James Harden as a guy that's going to get you a couple good playoff games a series, and then when he starts getting serious, he's got to disappear, then yeah, you got to build a team better than that then.
They can't.
You can't rely on James Harden. You can't rely on Russell Westbrook. You can't.
This is the best team.
You can't.
James Harden and Russell Westbrook are not the reason this team lost. They lost because Kawhi Leonard was hurt.
It is though. It is though, Tyrone. Yes, it is.
You cannot scapegoat.
James Harden had 7 points in Game 5.
Yes. Okay, yes. What do you expect? Calvin, what do you expect? Honestly, what do we expect? Do we expect a 34-year-old James Harden to carry a team to the playoffs? We do not expect that from average 34-year-old players. That is not what we expect. If we look around the league and we look at other players that are 34 and we say, is he expected to carry his team to a playoff to win a series for his team? No, James Harden is not that player anymore. He's obviously took a step back in his regression. James Harden, if I had to rate his play for the series, it would be a C, maybe a C minus. He didn't play good at all, but he is not the reason that they lost the series. It's because Kawhi Leonard didn't play. He didn't play.
Listen to this. In this playoffs, he's playing 39 minutes, 42 minutes, 44 minutes, 40 minutes, 33 minutes, 43 minutes. 39, 42, 44, 40, 33, 43. Yes, he's a reason they lost. He's playing over 40 minutes. And listen to this. And you're saying, what do you expect Harden to do? Listen to this. He had 28, 22, 21, 33 before he did the 7 and 16. If you could have him playing like that, just why does he disappear when it gets serious? That's all I'm asking.
Well,
if you could have him play like that through a 7-game series, you're going to win.
That's okay. So I'm gonna break it down. Well, this is the flawed nature of basketball for James Harden. And I'll talk about this later. It might be scary for Luka Doncic. The way that the Clippers were playing basketball when Kawhi went out was basically back to the old Rocket style, which was ISO James Harden basketball. Well, eventually, if you play a team 7 times, they're going to scout you. They're sitting on that. That's essentially what happens to James Harden every playoff series. If his game is ISO, it's a whole team has to win. So if they're playing ISO ball, James Harden, if they're playing ISO ball, the other team's going to play, all we have to do is shut down James Harden and we'll win. And usually you're probably going to do that because you're playing a team defense against him. And that was a Clipper strategy. And they tried to play James Harden ISO ball and it didn't work. I don't think James Harden played well, but I do not think that is a winning solution at all. The series is lost before it was started with Kawhi Leonard not being healthy. I don't think that this is James Harden played bad, but that is not the reason the Clippers lost. Even if James Harden played really good, like he played good, I don't think they would have been able to win this series without Kawhi Leonard.
They would have at least taken it to 7 games.
Maybe. You need Paul George to step up as well, too. This is just as big as a Paul George problem as well. This is not – I don't think James Harden, if he had to get a share of the blame for me, he would get a 20% share. Not the whole thing, 20%. Give him 20.
I'm not
Paul
saying
George
it's completely 100% James Harden's fault, but it's more than that.
More than 20? The biggest reason why they didn't win in the first round was because simply Kawhi Leonard is not healthy enough to play in the playoffs. That's it.
All right. I think we're gonna have to agree to disagree on that one because I think we're just gonna keep coming back around there, and we don't have Eric or Brian to break the tie there. So we'll move on there. We'll jump to Timberwolves versus Sun. Wolves sweep them 4-0. It's not looking good for Durant, for Bradley Beal, and for Devin Booker, the so-called big three. But Bradley Beal, man, stuck on a 3-year contract with them. You know how he finished that series, Tyrone? 9 points in 31 minutes.
It's
He also
just
had two other
terrible.
games with 14 and 15. Even James Harden was outscoring him. Come on, man.
It's bad.
Terrible. Terrible. They're screwed. Suns are screwed.
Speaking of teams that also have terrible GM work going on, the Phoenix Suns do not own a first round draft pick until 2031, maybe 2032,
Ugh.
depends on the conditions. So until the 2030s, they do not have a first round draft pick. They might not
I'll
even
be
have a
31
second
years old.
yet
I'll
when
be
when
31.
they're able to draft a player.
Terrible.
And they also have Bradley Beal. You know, you're just talking about how Bunty is. He has a no trade clause, so you
No
practically
trade.
have.
Yep.
He's a top. He's getting paid top 10, top five money league. So you have Bradley Beal's contract that is untradeable, literally untradeable.
Yep.
Um, Kevin Durant. Kevin Durant is tradable, but I don't think that's somebody you trade unless I wouldn't trade Kevin Durant unless he asked for a trade request. Then Bradley, or not Bradley, Devin Booker. Devin
They're not.
Booker. I
They
mean,
can't get rid of him. He's going
if
to be in
there's
his prime,
anybody
or
you
is going in his prime.
if there's anybody I would trade, I would probably that's the only player you could actually get
I mean,
pieces
yes,
for.
you're
That's
right,
it.
but
That's the only like I don't think they would do it. I did see something on Twitter that Devin Booker said he's interested in joining the Knicks, but they're in a position just like the Clippers. They have no choice but to just say we got to run it back. They can't make any more moves. It's run it back or trade Devin Booker. Those are their only two options. Literally,
I it's
that's
it's
it.
trade it's trade Devin Booker. Yeah, if you want to win right now and then really be screwed, then really be screwed.
I mean, I would
That's
trade
what I'm
Devin
saying.
Booker
It's
for a
so
bunch of
hard to
draft.
trade
I
him
would
because
trade him
he's
for a
so
bunch of draft.
young and he's going to go through his prime, or is going through his prime. And I feel like
He's in it. He's out of his young stage, I'd say.
okay, so then I
They're
don't
just
know.
they're not gonna win a championship at
I
this
would
point. It's
I don't
already
think it's
failed.
dumb. I don't necessarily think it's dumb, but yeah, I guess it's if you want to win right now. But Durant's got to like be like, I'll finish my career out here, like with you guys, for me to be like, all right, I'll trade
You think
Booker
KD
then.
doing that? You think
No,
Nah, see, that's what I'm saying. I'm
but that's
like,
what I'm saying. So then
let's
I
already
wouldn't
get this
trade Booker
stuff
then.
rolling. I would.
Okay. That's fair.
Well, then
Then
you
you're
got
saying
D
get him
Book.
out of there right now.
Yeah, we just got D Book
Okay,
sitting on this mid team. He's already D Book has already paid his time of being on the Suns team that sucks. And I honestly
yeah.
think that
I
like
guess maybe. I guess yeah. I
I think
guess if his
trading him would
morale's
be
so low and he wants to get out of there, maybe.
if I was Devin Booker, I would be in the back of my mind thinking like his team is it's over. Their fourth and fifth best players are Grayson Allen is a free agent. He's probably going to be gone. They can't afford to pay him. Nurkic is good, but let me see what Nurkic's contract.
Well, we say he's good, but you saw that stat. I sent it to you about him in the
Oh,
playoffs.
he's at the worst playoff winning
Playoff
percentage
record. Yeah,
ever.
I'm just saying, man. There's something to be said there.
That is
If
ridiculous.
I'm the one that goes around and says, oh, like Westbrook is a cancer to a team, I have to say that about him. I have to. That he has the worst playoff record. Like
He's
having
in the
him on the
playoffs
team
getting
is not going to
fried.
be good for you.
Okay, Nurkic is locked in until two more seasons, but their team is like over. They're giving Bobo real NBA minutes. Like their bench is like done for. This is another
Yep.
team. I would much rather be the Clippers than the Suns. Honestly,
Oh yeah, I would too. I
The
think.
Suns are just like
Well, yeah, I
they
think
got
so.
4-0
Well,
swept. They got 4-0
that's true.
swept, and all of
That's
their
true. Yeah,
players
you're right.
were healthy.
You're right.
At least Kawhi was hurt. At least you could say, man, if Kawhi was healthy, like, but
Yeah,
them, nah. The Suns were the
I agree.
Clippers got hot and they were good at one point of the year too. The Suns were just always just mid.
Yep. Fair enough. I'll give. You know what? I'll give that one to you, Ty. I'll agree there. But yeah, Frank Vogel lost his team. They felt unprepared. Minnesota took over not only like talent wise, but just with their energy. Just overtook them. Suns had nothing in the tank. Ant, he's a clear star. That's no surprise. Probably the face of the league. Will be the face of the league. Rudy and Cat, lethal. Shows that a two big man system still works in the
Hey,
NBA.
you heard Anthony
This team's
Edwards.
legit.
Hey, they got KD, we got Jalen McDaniels. Like they got
Yep.
KD, we got Jalen McDaniels.
Yep. Yep. This team's legit, Tyrone. This
No,
Timberwolves
that's a
team
real
is.
deal. They're the
Yep.
real deal. They play defense, they guard. Ant can, I mean, he's the star. They have the star player. Like people are comparing him, on Twitter and stuff. Like Man, he's next to Michael Jordan and stuff like that. I'm looking now, like, all right, like, because I've literally seen you called me on this podcast, watching him play. I'm like, oh, he's going crazy. He's doing ridiculous stuff, like actually, like soaring
Ridiculous
to the
stuff.
sky, dunking on people, hitting clutch shots. He had 40
They're,
points in that closeout game too, just absolutely
yep.
disgusting. He
They're
looked
leading
KD in the eyes, said,
in the
it is
eye.
mine," and he said, "That's
Yep.
my favorite player too." That's crazy.
61-35 they're leading right now at halftime. So the real deal. Kind of two things with this series that we could talk about quickly, and then we'll talk about the second round and who we think will win. But Nuggets Lakers. Nuggets won 4-1, obviously because I just mentioned they're playing the Timberwolves right now in Game 2. But let's jump to this segment first in this series with Darvin Ham being let go. Second year with the Lakers. Lost to the defending champions this year. Went 90-74 in 2 seasons, but he was just 9-12 in the playoffs. This will be when the Lakers decide their next coach. It will be the third hire in the last 5 seasons, despite a championship of Frank Vogel during that time. It's all to keep LeBron happy, of course, especially with this time now being probably down to 2 years left. It's really now or never, and he wants anyone that he thinks can get him in this team there. And obviously, he did not see that in Darvin Ham. I don't think necessarily Darvin Ham should have been let go. Some questionable substitutions he had or rotations, I guess. That whole viral video of him with the drawing board and the couple stories of LeBron taking it from him and drawing up a play. This is his second year. He lost to the defending champions. Lakers weren't really that well matched up against the Nuggets. I mean, we saw how AD usually does against Jokic. It just wasn't the best matchup for him anyways. I don't know what you expected of him. I don't think he necessarily should have been let go. I see kind of why. I kind of see a reasoning and understanding there. But ultimately, at the end of the day, I mean, you only gave him 2 years. What are you trying to get out of these coaches? What do you expect him to win you a championship in the first year or second just because you have LeBron? Let's not forget he's 39, 40 now. Like, what are you expecting? Do you think
Um,
he should have been let go?
yeah, yeah. It's not. It doesn't solve the Lakers' problems, but I do. The Lakers coaching the Lakers is the hardest job in basketball. It's similar
Is
to
it coaching
coaching.
the Lakers or coaching LeBron? He's
It's
had,
coaching
what,
the
10
Lakers.
coaches, 10 different coaches
Yeah, and he's won them all
in his
rings.
career?
Not all of them rings, but like yeah, that's a terrible narrative that LeBron is a coach because I don't like that. That's pretty silly to say. He's never had a great coach. He's never had a top three all time coach. Like that's something that those are narratives that come in from old people that say that. Like man,
Eric
Michael,
Spoelstra was
look
a
at
pretty
Michael
good
Jordan.
coach.
Look at and who how did he get his first ring
Well,
and
no,
only
I
ring?
get it.
LeBron
With
James. Like come
LeBron,
on
I
now.
know.
Like
I'm just
he ain't
saying,
getting
let's
none
not.
without LeBron. Like he has every coach that LeBron has made his coaches. He's made them. He won a coach with David Blatt. He won a title with David Blatt. New to the NBA, won him a ring. Literally,
Okay,
literally.
okay, but
Tyrone
then
Lue.
what does that say about him when he's had 10 of them? Okay, yeah,
That
sure.
doesn't say anything about him.
I gave some of these
What
guys a
that
championship, but what
what
about like Darvin Ham? You give him
what
2 years, nope, you're out. I didn't give you a championship
yes,
then.
yeah. This is the expectation. It is not how it was. How people have this false narrative with these other guys that have won a lot of rings. Kobe, um, uh, Tim Duncan, and Michael Jordan. Well, they had Greg Popovich and Phil Jackson. Like obviously, these guys are pillars of basketball. Darvin Ham was a guy who LeBron James played basketball with when he was in the NBA. It's
Well,
not
that's what
the
I'm saying.
same. He
It's
doesn't
all it's
have.
all
He's never
LeBron.
had.
He's the one calling the shots. Who he wants
That's not.
brought
You
in.
don't know. That's not true. What is that? So like this narrative that LeBron James is like he's killing coaches. Like it's just not true. Darvin Ham wasn't the man for the job. That is an ownership thing. Darvin Ham is not the man for the job. Hiring a rookie head coach to win you a championship is a probably a silly decision. But that's the position the Lakers are in though, just due to the coaching market. So it's going to continue to be like
So
this
what was the
with
point?
these
What
high
was the point of
expectations.
getting away? What was the point of getting rid of Frank Vogel? Then he got you a championship.
He wasn't a good coach. He wasn't really that good of a coach.
He
He
got you a
wasn't.
championship.
He wasn't that good of a coach. It's not as
It's
black
all
and white as
about
that.
what
It's
LeBron
not as black
wants.
as white as that. Yeah, because he's LeBron James. What are you talking about? Like Obviously, LeBron James knows what he's doing, or he wouldn't be LeBron James. He's won a title everywhere he's went. These coaches don't win titles everywhere they go. Has Tyler won a championship since LeBron has left? No. Has Eric Spoelstra won a championship since he left? No.
No.
Have these guys,
Leak
Vogel, have they won? No,
at
no, they're
least
not winning.
Spolstra has gotten some.
He's gotten
Yeah,
there, but they
not.
ain't won
Yeah.
it. Like
No, I get that. I'm
like
just saying
LeBron
at
is
least he's done
literally
something.
these guys' success. Literally,
I
speaking of Vogel, the Suns player, literally, there was a reporter saying when the Suns were losing, Vogel was yelling, and there was players laughing in the locker room,
yeah.
laughing in
Yeah.
the
Oh
locker
yeah.
room. He's trying to get fired.
Yeah. As I
Like
mentioned, he lost that team. He lost
LeBron
that.
has not dealt with a coach that is Eric Spoelstra is the closest one that he's dealt with, and he hasn't won without him. LeBron is like probably honestly his basketball mind is probably equal to a lot of these coaches that he's had outside of maybe one. So yeah, he probably does have a lot of power in those rooms, and that's just because like when you're dealing with a person like LeBron James, it's gonna have to take a literally a special one of a kind brain and mind.
Fair enough. I I I I don't necessarily think he should have been fired quite yet, but I guess yeah.
Well, I
LeBron's
mean,
running out of the
run
time,
it
so
back. If you run it back, what's gonna happen? Like I don't think that there has to be a change. The Lakers can't really they can make changes to the rosters. They are in a position because they have two draft picks to trade. They have two tradable draft picks this year to trade
yeah.
for a superstar. But I also don't think Darvin
I mean, it
Ham.
doesn't help that D'Angelo Russell was not.
Yeah,
That's what I'm saying. Like, yeah. I admit it to you. I admit it to you, Tyrone, that Darvin Ham had some questionable rotations, had some questionable timeout, whatever, this or that, play drawn, whatever. But let's not forget some of the D'Angelo Russell didn't show up, didn't help the
that's
case.
how the game go. That's how the game go, man. The
All right,
job for the Los Angeles
but
Lakers
that's what
is
I'm
not a.
saying.
It's not a
Come
job
on,
for
man,
complacency.
2 years.
It's not a job for complacency. It's not. Maybe if he had this same performance in somewhere like Orlando, oh yeah, for sure. Pat on the back, bro, good job. This is the Los Angeles Lakers. They have the most championships in NBA history. This is one of the best. This is one of the biggest sports brands in general. One of the biggest brands in general. It's the Los Angeles Lakers. This is not like a. There is no time for that. There's none of that. This is win now. The Lakers are always in a win now mode, and they will
Yep,
always be. You so if you're not putting out any really like even if you win a championship, if you're not doing that next year, it's like that immediately. And it sucks that's how it is, but I mean, it's LA. That's the nature of LA in general. Clout
that
chasing.
is. Yep, it's it's always aiming for the best in LA. All right. Let's go to the second round and these matchups. We'll just quickly go through. We're hitting around the 45-minute mark here, so we'll go through these quickly. Celtics, Cavs. We kind of already mentioned it. I got Celtics probably 5 games, 6 games. It's not going to 7, but
Give
probably
me Celtics sweep.
all right. I got Celtics in 5, but wouldn't be surprised if it's in a sweep. Pacers, Knicks. Knicks do lead 1-0. They are playing at home in the first two, so I wouldn't be worried yet if I'm the Pacers, but I think the Knicks get out of this series probably in 6 games.
I would say Knicks in 6 as well.
Knicks in 6. All right, we both agree there.
Actually, I'll go
Thunder.
Knicks in 7. Knicks in 7.
7. Knicks in 7. Okay, I wouldn't be shocked if it went 7, but give me 6. And we got Thunder Mavs. This one's gonna be fun. This one's gonna be interesting. This one's gonna be another 6 or 7. I got Mavs in 7. I got
I'm gonna
Mavs in
say
7.
want to. I was
They're
thinking
gonna
about
win
the
on the
Mavs.
road. They're gonna win on the road. Game 7. It's gonna be fun. Mavs get it done. What do you say, Tyrone?
I want to say Mavs in 6, but I've been thinking a lot. I really the Thunder could get it done once more. I'm gonna say Mavs in 6 and stick with my gut.
All right. All right. I respect that. Timberwolves, Nuggets. This is kind of cheating. But this is just how the dice rolled for us. We won't know the end result of this, so I guess it's not necessarily cheating, but it is 64-37 right now. Timberwolves leading at the start of the third. And the scary thing is, I shouldn't say but the scary thing is Nuggets are at home. Uh, and so, if, Timberwolves are stealing games on the road. Oh man, like I said,
I
it's
know.
kind
I
of
know what I'm
cheating, but
saying.
It's not looking good for the Nuggets. I thought maybe they were just toying with the Lakers and this whole, letting them get a lead and stuff, but you can't do that against against the Timberwolves. They haven't seemed to figure it out in the first 2 games. Timberwolves might run away with this one, Tyrone.
Give me the Timberwolves to win the NBA championship. No cap.
All
After
right.
this, up
Wow.
2-0 on the Nuggets. At this rate, the championship.
Yep.
Give me the Minnesota Timberwolves and Anthony Edwards to win a championship. This will be like Dwayne Wade winning a championship when he was 22 years old on the Heat, and he carried Heat Shack to the finals. Calling it now.
I just I would not have said that they were a championship team at the beginning. I'm starting to believe they might be. I just can't. I don't know, Tyrone. Can I go against Jokic?
You can.
That's
He's
tough.
about to be down 2-0. 2-0? That's
I
not an
think with
easy.
Murray, yeah, I think with Murray not being fully healthy, I think I might lean Timberwolves. It is cheating, so I'm not going to pat myself on the back if they win this series, but I think they do escape this one, Tyrone. I think with Murray not being 100%, Jokic, yeah, he'll probably figure it out, but yeah, it's going to be hard going down 2-0, and now they're going to Minnesota.
On the road.
Minnesota's not
They'll
dropping
probably,
two at.
let's say they split them. Yeah, it's going to be 3-1. You got to beat
One.
them down 3-1.
Yep. So, all right, that was episode 12 For What It's Worth. Calvin Silver's Tyrone Thornton. It was a fun one. We had a lot of fun. Make sure you follow us, subscribe, like, whatever social media you're on, and whatever it takes. Just do what you got to do. But we are on Instagram, YouTube, TikTok. Just type in For What It's Worth. If that doesn't work, type in at FWIW Sports Pod. And like I said, like, subscribe, comment, send the link, whatever you got to do. We're on Spotify, YouTube, everything. So go ahead and do that for us. We appreciate it. Episode 12, your NBA takeaways. Tyrone, anything you want to say before I end it?
Uh, Shout out to Drake and Kendrick Lamar for giving us all-time rap beef. Anthony Edwards gets the job done, win this ring, man. Trust and believe you. Bo Nix, man. Hey, training camp's coming up, man. Get real, prepare that mind, prepare your body. We ready.
Yep. I can't wait for some NFL football. Can't wait for training camp. Another year where I'll probably be out there for the Chiefs. So it's going to be a
I'm
fun
going to
one.
Colorado. I want to catch Denver training camp. I got to see if my dates match up, though.
Yeah, that would be fun. If you do that, we'll have to talk about that experience on the podcast. But until
I'm
then,
screaming out players getting cut. 53, no,
no, coach, out.
not making the roster.
You got your clipboard and everything. Yeah, you got like a speed gun out there. You did it 40 times and everything. That's funny. A little combine action. All right. Well, until next time, I'm Calvin Silvers, Tyrone Thornton. Have a good one.